Not like kicked in. Hey everybody, it's Snuffy Smith. I'm on Twitter. Anyway, my name's Steve, so hey, we'll go there. I wanted to put out this quick video. I hope all veterans get a chance to look at this or listen to this. It'll bring a couple of laughs and actually help you deal with some of the bullshit that we're putting up with right now. First of all, congratulations on signing of the PACT Act. We did that. I'm not sure if Biden signed it. I don't even know if he remembers if he signed it or not. But anyway, it's supposed to be on his desk, and he's promised to sign it, which is going to bring help for us individuals who suffer from burn pit exposure. And for years at the VA saying that, no, you don't. Well, we're getting ready to find out. I'll give you an example of that. Now, this video is going to be, I'm going to just throw this out. This is the maintenance, or this is what we currently deal with as veterans and caregivers throughout the United States. It has taken us over 10 years to get the government to recognize that we have people who suffer from burn pit exposure. Vietnam, Agent Orange, Korea. We don't even know what all the other veterans were actually exposed to. But anyway, when you start coming back with freaking cancers and everything nobody can explain, and where there's smoke, there's got to be a little fire. So anyway, congratulations. Thank you to Representative Jon Tester for working so hard. I wish he was my congressman. I wish he represented me. But let's go through this, and I'm just going to tell you some of the stories that have been passed through our group that we talk about, some of the shit that the VA has pulled on us, and is now currently pulling right now, that we are expected to accept. And I want to throw these at you so you can kind of understand how stupid these people are. Now, I'll probably get banned off of Twitter or banned off of YouTube, and I really don't care, because the fact is they're going to say, well, you didn't meet our community standards. I'm going to say, well, what I'm talking about is the VA. If the VA don't meet if my content don't meet the community standards, that's content on the VA, are they breaking the community standards too? That's my point right there. So anyway, in my long journey about my story, basically is that currently right now I'll be able to be treated. That's why I'm in a better mood. I'll be able to be treated for. They gave me one of these. I got to suck on that sucker 4 times a day. And they gave me one with a red. I don't know what. There's a different one. You got a red on it. I got to carry that in my pocket all the time, so in case I have an attack, where I can't breathe. That's what the attack is. I can't breathe. And it's supposed to work to bring me back. Now, I'm not talking about whenever I have an attack, like I just can't breathe. I'm talking about attacks where I can't function. I fall down. Okay. And I went to all the VA doctors and I said, hey, then this is going to get good. I said, hey, I can't breathe. It's getting worse. It's not getting any better. I know I've lost some conditioning when I got out of the Corps, got out of the Army. But this is getting ridiculous. I can't even walk 5, 6, 10 feet without having to bend over. I said, oh, we're going to get you to do some tests or whatever. And I said, okay, fine. Well, that's what they consisted of. I went into this room, and this guy had a blow in. He said, okay, I want you to shut the door. He said, but when I signal you, I want you to breathe. I want you to breathe in deep and breathe it out hard. Breathe it out hard. I said, okay. So maybe did the first time. All right, breathe out. He opened the door. He says, no, you're not blowing out hard enough. I'm like, dude, that's all I got, man. I mean, hell. Now, keep in mind, I'm dizzy as hell now because the fact is I done lost all my oxygen. So anyway, he says, well, do it again. Do it again. He's a pissy guy or whatever. I'm like, okay, he's got an attitude, so don't let me start no shit. My PTSD kicks in, and then I go lose my shit. So he told me to breathe in again. Breathe out again. Oh, well, no, we almost there, whatever. I'm like, dude, maybe do it again. So then I got to thinking while I was freaking laid out, because we had to take a break because I couldn't even breathe no more. I'm sitting there thinking, you know what he's trying to do? He's trying to establish a baseline. So in other words, when I get my baseline, is this supposed to be as high? He wants me to get as high baseline as I can get. Or a lower baseline where I can get. Or whatever the number is, so he can measure based off of that. I said, okay, that makes sense or whatever. But anyway, I only had like two more times left in me, and I was done. And he said, well, here's what we're going to do. This is not a doctor. This is a technician. Here's what we're going to do. We can't really get a good reading on you. We're going to have to do you a stress test. I said, okay, do a stress test. All right, what's that? He said, well, you got to go in, and they're going to give you something. It's going to make your heart pump faster, and it's going to get you up to where we can actually determine. I think that's called a CT scan. Is what I got. We're gonna make you feel better, and they'll make you, and then we can be able to tell how hard your breathing is or whatever. I said, okay, fine. So I get there to the place where I had to go. I get there, and the physician is not there. He's sick, called in sick, whatever. I don't know. But I could tell by the line that was forming outside there, they were all veterans. I was like, we got a big problem, what people are recognizing. But anyway, so I waited myself, turned in line, went in there, and they shot me up with this shit. Now, luckily, my caregiver's with me everywhere I go. Very rarely do I go by myself because number one, I'll lose my shit. Number two is I'll pass the fuck out. Number three is because I can't walk very well. And then the next thing you know, I have to call her because I'm laying down somewhere. I can't get up. So they hit me with this crap. Now I'm sitting there on the table. I'm like, whoa, I can't breathe, bro. I can't breathe. Now he's doing 3 or 4 different patients at a time, going back and forth to rooms or whatever. And I wave my hand to my caregiver. I'm like, two things are going to happen here. You're going to rip this son bitch out, or I'm ripping it out, and then somebody's going to come back and rip it out for me. Because Well, finally got back to my room, and he saw how much distress I was in. So he gave me a nitroglycerin pill. I never had to take nitroglycerin, but anyway, he had pumped me full of this crap that it caused so much distress on me, which is a warning sign. Should be a red flag. Oh, there's something wrong here. But no, I gave my test and go away and come back 2 or 3 weeks later. It was no, nothing happened, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, dang. So then they call me back in. They want to do a regular stress test. I have to get on the treadmill, and I run 20 minutes. Or as close as I get to 20 minutes. Now, I'm with my caregiver, and she's there with me, and I'm like, okay, you want to get up there and run or whatever. She goes, no. She said, do not put him on that treadmill. Do not put him on that treadmill. I'm like, oh, he'll be all right, whatever. And she said, no, do not. He is going to fall. She told him about 3 or 4 times. He is going to fall. And what you're doing is you're going to make him you're going to piss him off, and he's just going to keep doing it until he falls out. It's because you said he can't do it. They don't understand that mentality. So anyway, I got on the damn treadmill, got up there, and my wife told her, you better hold on to him. I had a belt on. She said, you better hold on to him. I'm like, okay, let's press go. Let's go. So I think I made it about maybe 3 minutes. Anyway, I don't know exactly how much long I left on there. It wasn't very long because the fact is that next thing I know, the nurse is picking me up because my feet weren't even touching the treadmill. She was picking me up. I was going in and out of consciousness because the fact is I blew all my oxygen. And I was about to get that treadmill. When you step on a treadmill, that's what I was about to do. Meanwhile, my caregiver, she said, I told you, get him off of there, get him off. She's actually having to scream to tell him to stop this test or whatever. And I was dumbass. I'm like, that shit, I ain't going to tell him. I'm going to have to show him, So I stayed on there as long as I could. And there's on that treadmill, there's a button, it's a red button to your right. And if you press that, it'll automatically stop everything. But me being me, I'm like, hell no. Y'all want me to run on this damn treadmill? I'll run till the cows come home. I'll run till it kills me. I didn't give a shit. But my caregiver, Doris, my wife, hit the red button, and she was pissed. She was pissed because having to see me go through that or whatever. So then they come back and they couldn't determine what was wrong or whatever. But then they called me and they said, well, we got a CPAP machine for you. You need to come down here to Lufkin and get it fitted. And I said, okay. So I went down there. I said, well, and they had my breathing breathalyzer or these things, whatever. And they had a bunch of those for me, and I picked them up at the pharmacy. And then she said, let's go down and get you a machine, a machine. So they actually had to calibrate this machine to actually fit my breathing. It's my CPAP machine. So I use that every night. They also did a sleep apnea a study on me where I had to go spend the night down there to kind of find out what was wrong, whatever. Come to find out I had sleep apnea. So in other words, I stopped breathing at night. So let's just kind of muddle all this together. And by the way, I'm sending this out to Ted Cruz and John Cornyn, lost my vote. And if you are a resident of Texas and you vote for Tom Cruise or Senator Cornyn, I'm telling you this right now, you're voting against veterans. Yeah, I got your high five there, Ted Cruz. Yeah. High fiving your people after you done. How many veterans did you kill today? Anyway, that's my little rant. But anyway, so I went and got fit for a mask. And so I wore that mask at night. It comes in handy too, because the fact is that when I'm doing the course of my day, I don't get around very much anymore because I can't walk very much. And the doctors are telling me I went to a civilian doctor, and they said, "Man, you don't look good. You don't have too much time left." And he explained to me. He said, "These cancers that you've been exposed to, it's like a scan away." He said, "We may not see nothing in one scan, we may not see nothing in another scan, but all of a sudden we see something in the third scan, and boom, it's too late." So my civilian doctor, he said, "You're getting close." So I don't care about that. I'll be kicking till the cows come home, or at least until I see this caregiver program that the VA's got us on turned around, because it is a freaking joke. So that's my story of what I go through, but they still will not admit, or they still won't diagnose me with having COPD, arthritis, asthma, or any of these conditions that are a warning sign to doctors that, hey, there's something going on. We're having a problem here. All the red flags. They don't get it. I had another buddy. We were sitting there shooting shit in the VA not too long ago. And my buddy was, he's an amputee. His left leg got blown in Afghanistan. It was a year before. The reason I remember, because it was a year before I got in the country. So it's 2005. Yeah, that's when he got blown up. It was in 2005. So he has no leg. He don't like me to say that, but anyway, he's an amputee. But anyway, we talk about it, whatever. It's not a big deal. But the fact is, like, what was really embarrassing, or really kind of pissed me off, was the fact is that he had ordered the leg that he had. He wanted to upgrade to one where he could run, or try to run on it, which is like the little blade or whatever. So he inquired about getting one of those blades so he could do some exercise, some PT, and they sent him one. Well, then his assessment came up, and the assessment came up. Now, if I'm lying, I'm dying. His assessment came up, and the social worker, the caregiver program, called him and said, "Well, we're going to need you to take a picture of your leg." Now, God dang. I mean, that was like, man, he called me right after that. He's like, "Can you believe?" He was pissed. I said, "Can you believe that shit? After all this I've been through, all of my medical workers is everywhere, whatever, and they can't even read. They can't even read, but they can actually ask me to get a picture of my leg." I said, "Well, dude, you know what? It's the VA. Hey, they asked us to do some crazy shit, so we just got to do it. So you know what? You got to do it and keep your benefits, or to back up your case." I said, "If they're asking for it now, they're going to ask for it later." And he said, "Yeah, you're right. Okay." So he did it. And he called me back about an hour later, hour and a half later, something like that. And he called me back a little later, and he said, "You're not going to believe this shit." I said, "Buddy, if you've been on the phone with the VA, I'll believe anything you tell me." He said, "They told me that they needed me to take different angles of my leg because they didn't think that it was completely amputated." So this dude had to take a picture of his thumb. Had to put it down on the right hand side, take another picture. Had to give him a 360 view of his leg. It was right there in the damn records. His leg was gone. but they didn't read that far back. And it wasn't only a few pages because the fact is that he just ordered another leg and they sent it to him. Shit we go through to deal with the VA. Now, I don't know if you understand this or not, but with the caregiver program, they have made this, it's a cluster. I mean, it is, in the words of Senator John Tester, it is dehumanizing the way they are treating veterans. It is dehumanizing when you have a senator, two state senators, or two senators who vote against you just being able to get what you're entitled to. For those of you who don't understand, I did, and so many other veterans, whether you like us or not, or hate us as a group or whatever, I don't really make any difference because we really don't personally give a shit. But the fact of the matter is, at one time, even though you hate us, at one time we signed our life away, saying, you know what, I'm willing to give my life for you. Hopefully, it don't come to that. But what happens? They don't take your life. They take a portion of your body. They take a portion of your brain housing group with a TBI and PTSD. And you're going to live with that for the rest of your life. I mean, I have chronic PTSD, and I'm going to have it the rest of my life. My doctors told me when I was at Madigan Hospital, you're going to have this for the rest of your life. That's when they put me in for the caregiver program because my doc set me down. I had a psych. And she told me, she said, look, Dr. Showquist was her name. She said, look, I'm going to be honest with you. She said, I can't let you go back to combat. I was trying to go back for another 2 weeks. I can't let you go back to combat. She goes, your condition is to the state to where you're going to have to have somebody permanently care for you, because the fact is that your PTSD is that acute to where the fact is that, you know what, we can't really trust you out in public, because if you lose your shit out in public, you would get to a point that you will cause immediate damage to yourself or to others. And she said, in order to avoid that, we're going to get you a caregiver, which people don't understand what the caregiver does. My caregiver does everything. If it wasn't for my caregiver, I'm going to tell you this right now, I would not be alive today. If it wasn't for my caregiver, these last 3 months with this caregiver shit going on, I probably wouldn't be here today. I'm holding by a thread. Making these videos is one way of me actually being able to talk out loud, because some of this shit people just can't believe. Oh, and like I said, I am sending a copy of this to Ted Cruz and John Cornyn. They won't read it, but hell, I'm a veteran. They don't give a shit. Anyway, I went to the VA in Houston, and I had to get a prescription, but I had to go down, had an appointment. But I walked by the pharmacy, and there was this old black gentleman, and he had a World War II hat on, like this, whatever. He was sitting in his wheelchair like this, had a cane, and he was like this, and he was nodding out, you know. And I just came in, I just walked by there, I saw him, I said, well, you know what, they're going to get to him sooner or later or whatever. You know, I mean, they probably got pushing me in or whatever. So I went to my appointment, came back out, and had to go back by the pharmacy because that's where you sign up for your travel pay. And so I walked by there, and the guy was still there. I'd been in there a good 45 minutes with the doctor. And I told my wife, my caregiver, I told her, let me go check on this guy. Let me see what's up. So I went in there, and he was awake, but his head was nodding. He couldn't hold his head up. I said, sir, can I ask you a question? And I said, how you doing? I said, you know, thank you for your service. I said, is there something I can do to help you? I mean, where do you need to go? What do you need? You know, I was asking to see what the time frame was where he'd get seen or whatever. So he kind of perked up there a little bit, and he goes, I've been here since, and he looked at his watch. And he said, I've been here since 8 o'clock, and it was going on like 11 o'clock. I said, well, what did they tell you? He said, I don't know. So they picked me up at the front door, and they carried me to the pharmacy, set me right here, and I've been sitting here ever since. He said, and I can't wheel myself up there because I don't have the strength. And he said, I can't tell them nothing because no one will listen to me, and I can't speak loud enough. I'm like, oh, man. So anyway, I went to the desk and said, look, this dude's been here for forever. And one of the guys up there said, oh, no one's called for transport yet. I said, no, he's been sitting here for 3 freaking hours, dude. Haven't you freaking, that's what pissed me off. Dude, he's sitting here for 3 hours. He's sitting right in the middle of the room. You can't freaking miss him. Okay. Well, we got to call for transport, whatever. I'm like, damn. So I told myself, I went back over to the guy. I said, look, sir, I said, where do you need to go? I'll wheel you down there. If I can't wheel you all the way, then my wife can, my caregiver can, we can get you point A to point B. He said, well, I got to get my blood tested first. So I went back up to the dude and said, he ain't even been stuck yet. Oh, okay, whatever. Then he had an attitude because I was telling him, like I was telling him how to do his job. I'm like, no, there's a veteran in the middle of 4 over here, got ready to pass the fuck out. And you ain't seen him. That's what I wanted to say, but I didn't, because the fact is, I did, I lose my shit. So anyway, I started talking to this gentleman while they were waiting, and I said, I ain't gonna leave him alone. I'm not gonna leave him alone out here. I want to make sure. So I sit down, I knelt down beside him, and my wife, she sat in the chair there, and I said, sir, how'd you get back here? I mean, he said, my daughter dropped me off this morning. And I said, well, he said, I said, well, didn't you have somebody come down here with you, or, they said, no. He said, I can't afford it. He said, I live on a budget. And he said, to get a ride to the VA, he said, I usually let my daughter handle all that, but she's too busy now. And he said, I can't. So in other words, he needed a caregiver. He needed a caregiver to go from point A to point B. He needed a caregiver to get him to where he needed to go. Whenever he got there, the caregiver, hey, he's here. He's right here. But no, they cut the caregiver program, so people like him will never get a caregiver, or can never have a caregiver, because they can't afford it. So now, that goes back to the point is that who are you actually deleting from this caregiver program that you say that you're expanding? To date, 90% of people who are on the caregiver program will be dropped at the current rate. The VA's come out and said, hey, we're putting a moratorium on this. We got to stop. We got to figure it out, or whatever. I can tell you right now, we just had an assessment yesterday. Yesterday. My wife. They called and talked to her. Normally they want to talk to me, but no, I just wanted to talk to her. And it was all generic questions. It wasn't anything pointed or has his health gotten better. And that's how they're squeaking through, is because the fact is, has he gotten better? Oh, he can take 5 steps today. Oh, well, let's graduate him up and let's pick him out of the program. I may be able to take 5 steps tomorrow. I may be able to take 10 the next day. But you know what? What about the days I can't take none? What about the days I can't get out of bed? Well, as a veteran, I don't want to tell you those things because it makes me feel dehumanized. It makes me feel less than. I don't want to admit that I'm broke. And this comes after the fact is that whenever I was in 2000, when I got back, 2007, it was starting on. They told me, my battalion told me when I got back, they said, man, if you need any help and problems, that was when suicide was going up. So if you need any help, you need problems, hey, contact us. We'll get you to the right people to see all these things or whatever. Please come forward. We're trying to stop these suicides. Please come forward. And I held it all in. All I wanted to do was get back. To be honest with you, all I wanted to do was get back to Afghanistan. That's all. That's all I want today. Let's go back to Afghanistan. That's where I fit in. That's where I don't get treated like shit. I was in a third world country. I got treated better medically or physically or whatever. Got treated better than I do back here in my country. So now I step forward and I say, yeah, I got a problem. I need to see a psych. And because I was actually getting back ready to deploy again, physically, mentally, getting all ready or whatever. And I still was having problems sleeping or whatever. And based on the schedule that I had in Afghanistan, I wouldn't sleep at night. And I would stay up during the day until whenever I could lay down, and I'd take like 4 hours nap, 3 hours nap. I was in NCO, so I didn't really fucking sleep. I don't even remember where they let me sleep. But so I got used to that routine. So when I got back here, it was the same thing. I was staying up all night, getting 4 hours sleep a day, plus working out. plus getting back in shape, plus training, all these things that I was doing, and it got caught up with me. I mean, I can't. Something's not right. I can't do this. And so I went and talked to the psych, and they gave me a simple test. And she told me, she said, "Well, be honest." That's where I fucked up. If you're honest with the VA, they'll find a way. If you're honest, they'll find a way to fuck it up. They want to put it in their words. I was honest. And I just told them exactly, answered all their questions. There's a multitude of questions, but I answered all the questions. I answered as honest as I could. Because I was freaking in the Army. I was 11 Bravo. I was an NCO sergeant type. And I was like, I don't give a shit. I'm going back to Afghanistan anyway. What do I give a shit? I was short. I was like, I had a week to go before I had my orders cut. I didn't give a really shit. So I answered them. And I got a call the next day to the battalion commander, my first sergeant, battalion commander. And I went in. And they told me I was being taken off the roll. I wasn't going to get orders, and that I needed to stay back at Madigan Hospital because I had chronic PTSD, or they said that I had PTSD. They didn't know at the time, but I had chronic PTSD. So that's what I get for opening up to the government. So in other words, if you start seeing a pattern of you opening up to the government and asking for help, and then you see the government keep finding out that you're asking for help and keep denying you all along, you kind of lose your shit. Now, this is not like we were just applying for a caregiver. This is a point to where we had already had a caregiver. My wife assigned to me in 2009. That was the base on my discharge. Matter of fact, everywhere but here in Lufkin or Houston, they've asked me, "What's your name of your caregiver?" That's one of the first questions they asked me when I went to Madigan or whatever. I had to move my wife up to Washington to be my caregiver so I could live off base. I had to have they assigned me my caregiver to make sure that I had a caregiver around me all the time, and slowly started functioning back into the mainstream of life. Now, when I first got out, it was the challenge. It was a struggle. I did everything that you do when you have PTSD. I stayed in the house. I didn't go outside. That didn't work. So then I couldn't sleep. So then I started self-medicating, started drinking a lot. I never did any drugs, never done any. I haven't taken anything for pain, no marijuana, no nothing. I was drinking a lot though. And finally I figured that this ain't the fucking way. I mean, there's got to be something better than this or whatever. So when I got my discharge, I had to actually fill out a plan from Madigan for them to release me to actually check into the local VA, which was Lufkin, and say my caregiver, continue with my caregiver services, and continue to be monitored by my caregiver and do the assessments that are actually coming out of Lufkin. But actually, Houston is the satellite, or is the main office, so it would come out of Houston. So they ordered me to have a caregiver. So I can do that or whatever. So we moved back here. We moved to Lufkin. And the reason why I moved back to Lufkin, because I'm a responsible individual. I wanted to be close to the VA because I recognized that I have a problem. I didn't have the answer to that problem. I couldn't fix it overnight. I couldn't do this alone. I needed my caregiver to help me, guide me in that path to having some kind of sense of life here in the United States again, to get acclimatized. And to actually settle in to a routine that medically and physically that I could obtain, sustain, and try to start not putting my life back together again, but starting over as a civilian. The transition between being active duty and being civilian is in itself, blows your mind. But when you take somebody from combat and you put them into a civilian community, they don't know how to act. I didn't know how to talk. Everywhere out of my mouth was a cuss word. I didn't know how to talk. I didn't know how to talk to people. I was used to talking to people direct. I was used to look at people in the eye. I was used to talking to them, telling them the good, bad, and the ugly. I've had to tell parents in Washington. I had to tell parents, I was with him. I was deployed with him. And the last I saw him was when we were in Kabul and he was getting medevaced out. Unfortunately, he died in long stool. And, it's like, what do you say to those people? When you say, hey, all right, last time I saw him, we thought he was going to make it. He was good. We got him out in time or whatever. Now, you do that about 10 or 12 times with a lot of people. That gets to you. So you're used to being direct with people. I ain't got time for bullshit. There's more important shit than your trivial bullshit. And that's the way I look at life. Because the fact is, the gunnery sergeant told me one time, we were in it was back in the Gulf War, and we were going through training, and it was pretty intense shit we were going through. We were getting ready to deploy to Iraq, and I was with Security Force Battalion, and we were doing drills or whatever. And I mean, the trainers had shit. They had it wired for us, man. We were getting fucked. They were killing people left and right. I mean, just left and right, whatever. And I was new NCO, and it was all taking me aback to what I should do. I know I was being graded with orders, whatever. It took me aback there for a second. I was laying there. I got to take a breather. Let me think. I was like, there's so much noise. Let me think. Gunny sergeant just walked up beside me. He's standing there or whatever. Took him a dip of snuff, and he said, Sergeant? I said, yeah, Gunny. Yeah, Gunny, what? He goes, you know how you make it out of this kind of shit? I said, no, Gunny, I don't, but I take your advice right now. He goes, well, just imagine you're already fucking dead. Everything else is simple. It's easy. That right there stuck with me, and it took it all the way to Afghanistan. And that saying right there that he said to me brought me through a lot of things. A lot of things. My commanding officers are people smarter than me. They got the brass on their shoulders and everything. But anyway, they always said, do something if it's fucking wrong, Marine. Do something. Do not get caught standing. Do something if it's wrong. Which is the way I attacked my proactive with my VA care. I was proactive. I was going to do whatever they said. Whenever they said jump, I said how high, whatever, in the whole 9 yards. All of them come up to where it's all packed bullshit. Now, we're not stupid, okay? And I want to let my senators and anybody from the government understand this. Veterans are not stupid. We are not just cannon fodder. I know I know that we're indispensable. I know that you don't force to come back. In essence, and for your bottom line, for the budget, it would make more sense if we didn't come back. Because the fact is, you wouldn't have to provide for our care. But see, there's a fine line that I signed. Said, I'll give my life up to you if need be. And you actually said that I'll take care of you when you come back and you're wounded. Can't get away from that. It's on the contract. I signed two of them, one in the Marine Corps and one in the Army. So I know what I'm talking about. So where's the government now? Well, Meg Cabot comes to mind because she is in charge of the caregiver program. Now, here's what watch my language. But anyway, let's put it this way: if I ever saw Meg Cabot, I wouldn't shake her hand. I would just go into a throw punch. I'd lose my shit and throw punch because I can't believe anybody would be this cruel and be this calculated. Now, this person, let's get this correct. This person never received any degrees. She's never served as a physician's assistant, none of those things. She was a social worker. She's a social worker. Now, let me ask you a question. How does a social worker, from being a social worker to being head of the caregiver department, happen? Could it be that you're on the take? Could it be that maybe you're making more money to keep your mouth shut? And what do you care? You say your husband is a veteran. I ain't seen the son of a bitch. Where would he serve? Talk the talk, but can he walk the walk? Has he been there, done that? And I'm to the point to where, you know what, I don't care. I don't care if the VA, whoever. This is dealing with my life, but it deals with my life to another extent because the fact is it's affecting other people's life, which are veterans, which are my brothers and sisters in arms who have paid the price, who have stood no matter where, whatever time, said nothing's going to hurt you tonight. I guarantee it. Nothing's going to hurt you tonight. And we did it. Well, thank you. We did it without anything. If I hear another person say, well, thank you for your service, that's kind of like here in the South, saying, well, bless your heart. Mojo, fake mojo shit. Dealing with veterans at the bottom of the food chain, the individuals who are actually hurt, the individuals who are actually suffering these actual trials that they actually develop because you sent them downrange and they're coming back home having to deal with them, and you bail out on us. I'm sorry. It's not in my DNA. I went to boot camp as a Marine, and I learned then and there, you don't leave nobody behind. This is one of the reasons why I'm making these videos. The PACT Act has passed. Thank God. It's been years of trying to get this through. I don't know how many deaths that was attributed to burn pit exposure. We'll probably never know the number because the government won't come out and say. But at least we have a chance now for the VA to step up and do their job. Once again, we rely on the VA. Congress makes the rules. They had good intentions, I guess. The more money was allotted to the VA and veterans health care than ever has been in our life. And people are like, well, what else do y'all want? Well, because the fact is you got individuals, nonprofit organizations, individuals soaking that money up. The VA is doing research. The VA was never meant to do research. It's a medical center to where you treat wounded veterans. That's it. We don't need to find the cure for AIDS. We don't need to kind of cure. We are here to take care of our veterans first and foremost. Any research we can find, whatever, we can actually get from other colleges, get from other places that research that. That's what they get paid to do. But no, we're allotting money for bullshit, and it's going to who? These individuals who actually make up these nonprofits, and they get a kickback. They get the money. So that money right there comes directly from the money Congress gave. And Congress is too stupid to know it. Or Congress is in their back pocket, and they're getting some juice on that. Trust me. How else does a congressman go from making $173,000 a year to being a millionaire? AOC. The only thing that they're trying to do is they try not to get caught. They keep spreading money around a little bit. That's it. And who suffers? The veteran. Once again, we're dispendable. Once again, we're being used to line somebody else's pockets. And they're taking the death of a veteran and utilizing it to get more money out of Congress. But nobody oversees the VA. The VA makes their own rules. Example, the PACT Act. How long did it take the PACT Act to actually get caught? I remember reading about the PACT Act when I was still downrange in Afghanistan. They were introducing it because the fact is, all these people were coming back sick and they didn't know what it was. Started in the Gulf War. They had a Gulf War crisis. They didn't ever mention that. But anyway, I know a good buddy who developed skin cancer from that. You can't believe that walking through freaking oil all freaking day, it don't seep into your skin and shit like that. But they expect us to believe this shit. They expect us to lay down, and we have proven one fact, and we've actually accomplished more with the PACT Act than we realize. We have realized what it takes to get these senators to pay freaking attention to us. Stand on their doors. Stand outside their doors. Go to where they're making the decisions. Be a nuisance to them, saying, you know what? You forgot about me, but I ain't forgot about you. And all importantly, I'll guarantee you that right now, there are veterans groups in Southeast Texas right now. And we're talking about Ted Cruz. We're talking about John Cornyn. Because they left somebody behind. You can't tell me that a bill that was actually you voted for, now all of a sudden it changed, nothing changed on it, your mind changed. Because then you know what, somebody got to you and said, oh, you know what? It's money, it's a votes. We'll contribute to your campaign. Hell, we'll pay for your next flight to the Caribbean next hurricane season. Which hurricane season's coming up? You see Ted Cruz flying out on his private jet going down to the Caribbean. He want to deal with it. Politicians show their true colors every once in a while. They show truly who they are. If you watch their actions more than you listen to their words, you will determine who's on your side and who's not. We've determined that. Now, these are just some of the horror stories that I can go through. I make it a point to, I'm on Twitter. Facebook that's not really big on veterans' rights or whatever, but Twitter is. And there's a lot of good people that are on there. Bertha and Lena, Lanai. Yes, she has good quotes. They're caregivers. And they have been for years. And the majority of these individuals who are caregivers know something that the government doesn't know. If I'm not there to take care of him, he's not going to make it. He's not going to make it. Or he's going to end up in some Looney Tune bin the government's going to have to pay for. Or we're going to have to be paying for his funeral. That's how serious it is. People don't get that. People say that because they're soft, because they're weak, because of this, whatever. Trump said that, you know what, anybody with PTSD is weak or whatever. Okay. Mr. Trump, pick up a fucking weapon, stand a fucking post. Be that guy in a convoy. I don't care who it is, whatever your job title is. You downgrade a veteran, and you have to realize there's going to be consequences to pay. We stood up as a community. We stood up in community and we recognize that there is a problem. We're not it. We have a cluster fuck of a caregiver program. We have individuals who are actually serving on as account managers, who are supervisors in the caregiver program. They couldn't even get a job at the DMV. And they wonder why veterans are angry. Well, because the fact is that when we walk through the door, we're a patient. And the fact of the matter is that we're giving all our vulnerabilities to you and hoping that you'll help us take care of ourselves so we can fix it ourselves, or you can help me fix it so I can get better. All we get is attitude. Like we're bothering them. And they try to put everybody in one little mold. Oh, you got PTSD? Okay, that's what we do. That's what we do. All them, whatever. Every patient's different. A person with PTSD from Afghanistan has probably a different triggers than actually a person who served in Iraq. I'm sure they are. Afghanistan, it was IEDs. It's always looking for IEDs or suicide bombers. That's what we were looking for. Iraq, they were looking at somebody shooting at them and suicide bombers. So they had it. Iraq veterans, and I know a bunch, had to keep their swivel on the swivel all the time, and so did we. We're just looking for different things. Did you know? Did you know how we used to identify females from males when everybody's wearing blue burqas? Well, we could identify there was a male in them. Look at their feet. Look at their feet. 9 times out of 10, if it's a woman, it's going to have black shoes, and they're going to be pointed. Always watch out for that one who's got sandals on them. He's going to blow. Things I shouldn't even be fucking thinking about now, I'm thinking about. So I'm determined. I'm going to try to see if I can go through and follow through with this and put out videos every day. Because hopefully it's kind of helping me a little bit. Hopefully it's helping maintain my sanity. This weight on the caregiver program, not knowing. I called the VA today, and they're still quoting me shit back from July. And I'm like, do you understand this change? This is changing or whatever? And do you understand what's happening? We're on hold or whatever. And they're like, no, I didn't know that. And you work at the freaking VA. Now it explains to me. They don't even read these new guidelines that they put out. They don't read them. They just throw them in the book. We got them. Yeah. Don't refer to them. I would be out of my way. I mean, it looks like may have to look something up. It caused me to get up from filing my nails at the phone, pushing the loop on the freaking phone calls coming in, so they go round and round and round and round and round until a veteran has a freaking spaz attack and loses his shit because the fact is no one will answer the phone. I'm going to find out, and I'm going to keep certifying. And one thing that I wanted to show you guys today. Oh, shit. Oh, God. Oh. Paralyzed sciatica can get you. Anyway, I sent this off. This is the receipt that I sent to the, there's where I sent certified mail. This is the receipt that they received it on 7/2. And I asked for freedom of information request. I asked for all the individuals who have actually had access to my records. I want their name, I want their job title, and I want their qualifications, what classes they go to or whatever. I am actually physically today, I'm getting ready to write up the letter right now, as that I have to request another physician and a psych doctor. For the whole time, now check this out, this is going to get you. From the whole time that I transferred from Madigan Hospital to Lufkin, I have never had a PhD. I've never had a doctor. I have always had a physician's assistant. Always. That's on my physical side. Now, currently, I don't have a physician. I got to see her one day. Last month, I got to see her one day to go in. And she said, well, I'm glad to meet you, but I'm going to be leaving here. We're moving back to North Carolina. My daughter can't stand. She has asthma problems down here. Since 2009, I met with one doctor for one day. I don't even know what the hell she wrote in my records. I don't have a psych. My psych, Doc Poole, she decided that, she's going to get promoted, so screw the rest of us. You know what? Didn't even say goodbye. Didn't even say, okay, I'm transferring you over. Not even we're going to put you somewhere else. Or, you're going to have another psych. Let me introduce you. None of that shit. It's got a phone. I'll go, hey, I'm your psych doctor. Still ain't you still ain't answered my question. Why the hell did you drop me? That was thinking me like your mind. Well, what the fuck is really going on? I ain't got nobody standing for me. I don't have a doctor in the house. And then the VA wonders why you can't keep doctors in the house. Well, let me just break this down to you real quick, like a shotgun. You can't keep physicians who have trained to be doctors. And when they actually set out a course of action for a patient to get better or maintain their well-being, you can't have a third-party individual seated somewhere in some damn seat that you won't release their information to. You won't release who the name are. But they're all in big cahoots together, and they all make a decision on a file. They have never seen you. They have never talked to you. They've never seen you or went over your caregiver with you. They never talked to you. They don't even know who the fuck you are, except for a damn file. And they're going completely against what your doctor has advised you to do. Your doctor sets out a wellness plan. Okay, we got an issue. Let's deal with this issue. Let's deal with this. Then we're going to do this. Then we're going to do this. To make your life as comfortable as possible when you're injured like this. But we have independent freaking people. We don't even know if they're qualified. And it's duly noted that these people that are serving on a SEAT team cannot get a license in the state to practice through the VA. So they put them in a SEAT team. They're not even real doctors. And you got a case manager who graduated from Lee High School in freaking Podunk in Egypt or somewhere. They make her call out the denials. Well, we're sorry. Well, why? Well, I don't know what to say here. Nothing to say here. I don't know. I just work here. Get paid. Can't tell you nothing. This is the web we weave. And we can't get out of it. So with all that in mind, one would think, you know what, we have to cry foul. Well, we have to cry foul on now because we've seen the dysfunction in passing of the PACT Act, how that shit went crazy. We've seen the Caregiver Act being gutted. It's being purged. And they're taking the profits. They're putting it in their pockets. And these individuals actually, when they work for the caregiver program and they get so high up, what they do is they just they go to work for the nonprofit. That's just paying all the money from the VA. So in other words, we're paying their salary to go to work for somebody else. So it's a mess. And we need to clean up this mess. Rumor has it that Ted Cruz and Senator Cornyn, that's the reason why they were fist pumping or whatever. Some speculation goes out there saying that, you know what, they're trying to blow up the VA and take away benefits, take away rights, take away benefits, and those things or whatever. And maybe it's true. I'm starting to believe that it's possibly true, because the fact is that how can you just change your mind in a month? Somebody got to him. They fought it tooth and nail to the end. And what did it take? Two veterans like us go down and camp out to get our rights. We had to fight again for rights that we have earned. How long? How many fights do we have to fight till we get what we earn? It's not a benefit. We earn these rights. If you want to stop paying that shit, if you want to start doing that, if you're a Joe Blow taxpayer or whatever, great. And start voting people who won't send us off to war. Or better yet, have one of your sons or your daughters fighting a war and come home, and the government won't take care of it. Having your daughter come back with TBI, PTSD, or some unknown cancer that no one knows where it comes from. You weren't supposed to be having this at your young age. And your daughter has brought this home from Afghanistan or Iraq or some future war, and had the government turn back on you. How mad would you be if it was happening to somebody in your family? There's good citizens everywhere they go, and they say, thank you for your service, man. Appreciate on how you did all that, whatever. They don't even have the story. They don't have the right to know. They didn't deserve the right to know. But I wonder if they would be standing right beside me if one of their sons and daughters went down range and came back messed up. And they find out the only people that actually care is the current our veterans. Because we've been walked the walk, we talk the talk, we put up with the bullshit. Now, this video is probably going to get me kicked off the caregiver program. They're going to start questioning my benefits, and they're going to actually probably drop me from entire roles. Maybe burn my records. I don't know. Which is what they did back in 76. They burned all the records at the VA. So whenever shit got too bad, they just torched it. Is that going to happen too? So, last thing is that put a comment or something there and let me know you guys are listening or whatever. But anyway, these are my stories. These are my tales. These are what I'm experiencing, and these are what people that are around me that are telling me that they're facing with the VA. And the more I share these stories, the more appalled you will be. And to have all this information and not be able to share it all out, it's like it's getting to me, because the fact is I can't believe this is so rampant and we're not paying any attention to it. So thanks for listening. And I guess drop me a question mark or something. Just let me know that you saw this or read this or whatever. If you have any suggestions about what I need to put out as far as to the veterans, get the word out. That's the only way that we get into changes. We get changes when we stay on top of the changes of the changes of the changes of the changes. And this is where we share information to where everybody's informed, because an informed people are knowledgeable people, and they hate it when we're knowledgeable, because we know more than they do about their own profession. And that's where we got to get. We got to get above reproach. We got to be better, quicker, and faster than they are at their own game. First comes knowledge. Second comes us sharing our knowledge. And third is acting on our knowledge. So you guys be good. Be careful. 7-5. I'm out. Who's getting